Hello there, my name's Vince from My Mate Vince, and in this video today we're going to try to fix up this Philips Series 7000 shaver, electronic cordless shaver. Now, it's owned by my friend's dad, and basically it got weaker and weaker and then it wouldn't turn on. He's replaced a battery in it and it's still doing the same problem. Now if you plug it in here, oh sorry, this has been swapped over as well. A new one of these has been purchased. Well, not a new, a used one. And it's still doing the same thing. So it's showing charge in here, but look, it's not drawing anything. When I first of all plug it in, it draws for a few seconds, lights on, but then it will go to 0 here. So that's not doing anything. Yet it recognises that it's plugged in. Can you see when I press that button there, it goes to like, you know, warning me that I'm plugged in. But when I go to turn it on, it's not doing anything. But check this out. If I take this off and give it a kick start, it will then work. But there's no real power there. Yeah, so if I put this back on, it will probably stop. There you go. Yeah, I think it's just too weak to operate. Now, the battery has been changed out, but the person changing it wouldn't have had like professional grade equipment. So let's open it up and let's see if we can find out what's going on. So I can see that there's a little Torx bit down here. So let's undo that and see how it comes apart. Well, I think it's Torx 9. So there's a load of clips around the place here. Hold on, and we've got white clips here. Let's take off this. Ooh. Right, that's all apart. The battery must be under here somewhere. It's not even starting up like that. It sounds like the battery's like dying, but it's had a replacement battery. Okay, that's just for the lights. That reminds me of the Sonicare toothbrush. Oh, this is Philips as well though, isn't it? Yeah. Right, I can see the battery under here. So how does this come out? There we go, we're free. Oh, and that's soldered to the board through these points here. Oh, so this goes, oh, the motor's just here. So it's nice and simple. The motor is just here. And we've got the 2 points here. Right. That's how you turn it on. Right, okay, I can see the solder looks quite blobby. And I think that might have been burnt through the insulation there. Got to be careful with these because you see, this is the positive, but that there is the negative. So if that was any bit, well, it is free off it, but you see there's a lump there. See if you were to short that against here. So yeah, clearly what's happened here is this is the original solder here and here, and the battery should have come with tabs to solder onto the board, but instead of that, oh there we go, we're loose here, and that's why it's not working. See, this is negative, so that's okay there, but that's a bit dodgy here. Can you see? So we might have to look at that. Right, let's zoom out. Let's see if we have any charge in the battery. So it looks like it is a battery problem. Right, so let's just go here and here. Right, 4 volts. So I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's put pressure down here and here to make them connect. Now let's turn it on. No, well, why have we got a red light if it's at 4 volts? That's weird, isn't it? I wonder, has the battery been put in the correct way? How am I going to know if the battery's been put in correctly? See, if there was some electrolytics on the board, I could go between the ground of that and see if it comes up on the ground of the battery, the negative of the battery. but there's going to be nothing on here which is polarity conscious, unless I was to look up the spec sheet off that chip. Let's go to continuity. Let's see if this, comes up on one of these pins. Right, so that comes up on this pin here, yeah? And this is going to be in like this, so let's just double check which pin that is. So the battery negative here is coming up on the right hand pin, this pin here. So let's go to volts DC. Let's get our adapter back up, and then we'll definitely know if the adapter's been, the battery's been put in the right way. So let's plug this in here, and let's see if it's correct then. So 1 second, let me just double check that again. So here is coming up on the right hand side. So that means that this should be the negative and this should be the positive. Yeah, and it's been put in correctly. You see 15 volts there. Because if this was the positive, can you see it would be opposite? So I know now that it's definitely been put in correctly. Right, okay, let's unsolder the battery and see if we can clean some things up. So I unsoldered the battery, which is pretty much unsoldered anyway, and I'm just cleaning it up. Luckily, it hasn't actually burnt through the insulation, it's just burnt the insulation a bit. So I'm just using a bit of IPA and I'm just trying to clean up the solder around the place. But I'm not overly happy with the way that the insulation is burnt, so I'm going to use these little protector things that you get for the 18650 batteries, which are bigger, but I want to see if they fit. Now I have got these here. It's to protect the 18650 ones, so they're going to be a bit too big for here, but I'm thinking it might be better than nothing. It's going to be way too big, isn't it? How about if I... no, they're going to be too big. Unless I just... Let me cut that in half. I might be able to wrap it around itself. I just want a bit of protection on it. I wonder, can I bend it? I'll tell you what I could do. I could cut the inside of it, couldn't I? Little tracks, little slits every now and then. Just wrap it around. I don't care if it's doubled up. Okay, while I'm putting the protective covers on those batteries, let's give a shout out to the sponsor of today's video. PCBWay is your one-stop solution for all things PCB fabrication and assembly. From rapid prototyping to full-scale production, PCBWay delivers top quality products. So whether you're a seasoned engineer or a hobbyist just starting out, PCBWay's user-friendly interface makes ordering your own custom PCBs very easy. And PCBWay do a variety of different services, including but not limited to assembling your PCBs, CNC machining, 3D printing, sheet metal fabrication, and injection molding. So when you're ready to take your designs to the next level, look no further than PCBWay and bring your ideas to life. So a massive thank you to PCBWay for sponsoring the My Mate Vince channel. Now let's get back to the video. You can probably buy these for smaller batteries as well. It's just that normally it's 8650 everywhere, isn't it, when you look? I don't mean everywhere, but you know, they're definitely the most common one. Now that is all negative anyway, so it doesn't really make a difference about that. But just in case, I mean, it has got a sleeve around it. Let's put one on there as well. Now I'm just wondering, it's a 3.7 volt battery, yet we know there's 4 volts in it, yet it's still struggling to do anything. Sure it is 4 volts. Yeah, 4 volts. So I'm thinking there might be a problem with the motor or something. I don't think it's battery related, because otherwise when that's connected it should work. So should we put the bench power supply on here, and we'll put the bench power supply to 4 volts. Let's see if it starts working, because it should be absolutely fine on 4 volts. See what we got here. This is a bench power supply leads, 3.985. And let me just see what amps I've got here. 2.6 amps is going to be ample. Huge amounts, right. Let's see now, are you going to turn on? No, so what's that about? I presume that means like a battery low. Right, let's up the voltage to 4.2, because that's going to be fully charged, isn't it? 4.2. 4.182. Let's see now, are you going to turn on? No, so what's that about? That doesn't seem right, does it? So, I think the original fault wasn't the battery at all. Let's undo these two screws here. Right, so there's still the same Torx bit. Maybe it's blocked up with hair or something. There's too much friction for it to turn. Right, so this is all sealed, isn't it? Right. Well, you know, to begin with, it didn't want to go one way, and now it does. It went one way, but not the other way. I know I didn't say that, but I felt it. Now it seems quite free in both directions. So let's try again with the bench power supply. And here goes. No, what's that about? Yet it's working with the battery in. So to begin with, I could manage to get it to turn, but now it won't do anything. Right, what we'll do is let's unsolder these and see if we can put power directly into the motor. I don't really want to take all this out because then it's not going to be waterproof. Let's unsolder these big connections here. Next you have to connect it to the charger in order to reset it. I don't want to put power straight in here because it could backfeed into the circuit. I know which way it goes back in because the wires are not crossed. There we go. So let's start at 2 volts. I presume it's going to work on 4 volts, but let's just start at 2 volts and see if it starts turning. Right, 2.3 volts be fine. Yeah, that's nice. And that's really nicely powerful. And that's only at 2.3 volts. Let's go the other way. No. Maybe it's not supposed to go that way though. Let's see. I hope I haven't blown something now. Wonder why it doesn't want to go the other way. Could that be the fault? Well, I suppose that's the way it cuts. Let me see actually, negative, if. I wonder, is it directly through from here? No. Right, the very fact it's doing an orange light now and it wasn't at the beginning says to me that something's a bit odd there. So I think we should, let's solder that back on. Let's get the battery back on, plug it in as if we're going to charge it, and then take it from there. So the reason I'm putting the battery back in is because it is measuring 4 volts, so it looks like a good battery. And to begin with, when I got this shaver, at least you could kickstart it. Right now you can't do anything. So I'm using my spot welder to put it back in. This is actually the first time I've ever used a spot welder in this video. I know you've seen it, it's just that this was filmed before those other videos that you've seen. So I wasn't quite sure how to use it, and this next bit did take me a little bit by surprise. Bloody hell. Excuse my language. That to me, why has it gone to 45T? What? It was supposed to be 15T. Oh, I didn't press set afterwards, silly Billy. No wonder it was so powerful. Ah, it was flashing MT. You have to go through the whole thing. Okay, it's a learning thing for me. Right, I've actually, I think, just burnt through the nickel there. Is there any heat in the battery? No, I think I'm okay. That has welded, but I'm just going to try to get another weld on because I've gone through. Let me just see now. I thought it was a bit powerful down here. Let me see what's happening here now. I'll go down hard. Yeah, that's much nicer. Okay, that barely went through at all. So maybe that's more suitable. I might have to go a bit more powerful. Sort of run out of room to go. I'm going to have to bend these back. Basically, the nickel strips were already a little bit damaged previously, and now using 45T power on it, I've just burnt right through it here. So I do have to replace the nickel strips. It takes me about 20 minutes or so, but I'm going to pick up the video after these nickel strips have been replaced and the battery's spot welded in nicely. Right, I think that's safe. That's not shorting against anything there. That's the negative there. I think it's going to be okay. Now let's see if this is going to pinch back onto here. Yes, I think it is. So we've still got the orange light, so shall we turn it, shall we plug it in and see what it does? Clips in real nice, doesn't it? Right, come on now. Is it going to reset itself? Okay, we're on here. Let's plug it in, see what you're going to do. Oh, see that? Come on, stay high, stay high. It's flashing, it wasn't flashing before. Stay high. Okay, so it's charging, but there is 4 volts already in it. So has that reset it enough? Let's unplug it. It's gone to that. Listen to that. Well, that certainly seems stronger than it was before. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do is I am going to put it back together and give it a full-on charge. So I'll put it back together and give it a nice clean as well, just in case there is a bit of friction built up in the actual blades themselves, but it all looks pretty much spotlessly clean. This is a waterproof one, so you can actually run it underwater. So really, if there was a hair build up, when you rinse it, it will probably get rid of most of the hairs. But anyway, I put it back together and then I give it a nice good charge. Right, it's been about 30, maybe 40 minutes later, and it's still flashing away here. I can feel a bit of warmth to it, but not warmth that's going to go on fire. It just feels slightly warm from around here downwards. So there's definitely a bit of warmth there, and near enough from the beginning it's been charging at 1.6 watts, so that's probably quite normal. So I'm hoping after maybe another half an hour or an hour, because we were at 4 volts, so you think it's not going to take that long to add 0.2 of a volt on. I'm hoping that will go to solid or go out, and then when we turn it on without the lead in, I'm hoping it won't be amber.
Hello again, the next day.
Right, this is strange. It's the next day now, and I've had it on charge for ages. It's supposed to charge in 1 hour. In fact, you're supposed to get a quick shave out of it after 5 minutes. The model number of this one is S7370. But every time, even if I charge it for like 2 hours, every single time I go to put it on, it will be this orange light here, and it just doesn't sound, it doesn't sound strong. Yeah, I have had it running for about 6 or 7 minutes, and it didn't run out in that time, but it just doesn't sound strong. And why is that orange light always on? Again, I'm not sure whether it should be on or not. I think when I looked up, it said orange light was for low battery, but there's so many different models of this. But look here. Sorry, when I had it plugged in for about 3 or 4 hours, the white light did go out. But as soon as I turned it on, it was orange light. But look here, if I go onto the battery contacts, it is climbing. Remember, I've had it on for about 6 minutes just seeing if it works. But look at that. I mean, it is slowly climbing. So you would say that that is charging. Yeah? It doesn't look particularly quick, but it's not overly slow either. Is it quick enough to get to 4.2 volts after 1 hour? I don't know. But also, remember I said that there was heat coming from it? I can feel the heat quite a lot, and it seems to be, as in like I couldn't leave my finger on that, and it seems to be coming from that chip. So I bet you that's the charged chip, and I bet it's not happy. I don't know, or is it just all battery related? Not sure. So look, let's get the FLIR cam, and you'll clearly see that that chip is getting very hot. But it's a charged chip, maybe it's going to get hot. There you go, you can see it glowing away for itself there. And it is hot if you look at my finger. It's hotter than my finger. Normally, my finger would be really bright, yeah? But watch this, bring it into here. Boom, you can't see my finger no more, but you can see that. And if I go to the middle of it, let me get something plastic to poke. If I go to the middle of the heat spot, the middle would be here. Yeah, bang in the middle of that chip there. Unless the chip has failed. I don't know how hot it should be getting. Thought it might be the capacitor next to it, but it's not. The whole area is getting warm. So I think what I'm going to do is I haven't got any of these batteries here. But what I have got is I've got plenty of 18650s. In fact, I have just got one here that was on my desk. Let's see what this one. Because what I'm thinking about doing is unsoldering this one and just put this one on and see if, for example, we've still got that white light. See if it sounds more powerful or not. I'm not quite sure what's going on here. It all seems a bit strange. 3.4 volts, that's a bit low, isn't it? But maybe we could solder it in there and see what it does. So clearly this shaver is not designed for an 18650 cell. If I had a smaller cell, I would be putting that in. But the bigger cell is the same voltage, it just stores much more energy. So I magically attached 2 wires to it. I say magically because if I showed me doing what I actually did, I would get told off massively in the comment section and via email and every other means that I can be contacted by. But yet then if I explain how dangerous these cells are, which I must have done a million times in my videos, then I get told that I'm scaremongering and they're not dangerous at all. So I can't really be bothered with it anymore. So basically the wires are magically attached to the cell purely for testing. So let's pick up the video now when the cell is attached to the shaver. Let's see what it's doing. Right, let's see what happens if we go to turn it on. So we have an orange light and it's not even attempting to turn on. Fine. So now let's put this back in here. And let's put the charger in and see what it does. Right, so this comes up here and it's flashing here like it did before. Do you know, I don't think it's a battery problem. Let's see if it's climbing. It is, it's climbing very quickly, isn't it? But that might be because the battery's quite low. Maybe it will slow down when it gets to, for example, 3.9 volts. Okay, it's not climbing as quick now. So to be fair, that seems the same as the other battery. Now I haven't used this battery in a while, but it did work because I've charged up a few phones from this little USB thing here. So this was sent over by Marcel years ago. Well, I'm going to leave that for a while now. Basically, I want to see, can it turn on? See, that's red hot again. I want to see, can it turn on without having that orange light constantly? Also, I'm going to try to watch a review on this because it doesn't seem to make sense. Maybe the orange light's on. Orange light says to me that it needs charging, and I don't see why it would mean anything else. But just in case, every time it's on, maybe it's supposed to have an orange light. And if you're wondering what the chip is that gets hot, it's ST1CC40, and it's down as a 3 amp monolithic step-down current source with synchronous rectification. I'd like to know what that means, but basically it's used as a battery charger, signage, emergency lighting, high brightness LED driving and general lighting. Its device is an 850 kilohertz fixed switching frequency monolithic step-down DC-DC converter designed to operate as a precise constant current source with an adjustable current capability of up to 3A, so 3 amps DC. So I suppose when you've got this on, you want it to be not fluctuating at all. You just want a steady, you want the motor to be running at the same speed the whole time, don't you? Especially when you're putting more strain on it, because when you're putting more strain on it, mind you, razors do dip a little bit, don't they? When you you know, if you go to a heavy part of your beard, it does, or stubble, they do slow a little bit. They go under strain. But maybe this is what this thing does. So it features 3 volts to 15 volts operating input voltage range. Don't know. It's probably designed to get hot. See, that's moving so slowly, but I don't think that's going to be done in 1 hour. In fact, it's going backwards now. That doesn't appear to be charging right now. Interestingly, there's no orange light on. Look, that's the first time there's no orange light on. What's that about? Hold on. That's the first time there hasn't been an orange light on. So maybe the replacement battery is a dud. Okay, I think it's voiceover time because I'm looking at the video, I'm 30 minutes in and there's still loads of footage to go. Now, I finished up filming this yesterday and I'm editing it up today, and when I finished filming I thought this is going to be a nightmare and I'm going to get slated because it's just all over the place, as in my fault finding is all over the place. But I'm 30 minutes into the editing and I'm thinking, I don't think I've done anything wrong. I mean, I've swapped the batteries over and with the 18650 it works. So that says to me that the original replacement battery is faulty and I need a new battery. But yet, it's not charging up properly. It only charges for a few minutes and then it stops. The voltage doesn't climb anymore and the chip gets ridiculously hot. As in, when it's together, you can feel the chip getting warm through the bottom half of the device. I don't think that's normal. Also, why is it not charging up? The replacement battery had 4 volts in, yet it's not enough to power this thing with any real oomph. It wouldn't be able to cut any hairs. And the 18650 does power it, but yet neither of them properly charge up. So that says to me that the chip's at fault. Maybe the chip was the original problem and it broke the first battery and now it's broken the second battery as well. Clearly it's not charging up and the chip's getting ridiculously hot, so I don't think that's normal. So I think my fault finding is kind of okay. If I was doing it again, I think I'd jump to the same conclusions. It's just a bit weird in a product. Normally you would have one thing wrong with it. You wouldn't have the battery and the chip, unless of course the chip is to blame. So that's my thinking. Whether it's right or wrong, we've got to wait until I buy a replacement chip and a replacement battery. And that's what I'm doing in this part of the video here. I'm convinced it's the chip at fault and I'm convinced the battery is at fault. So I'm buying the battery from eBay and the chip from eBay as well. And I am going to cut to the video now when they've arrived and we're going to install them, and let's see if this shaver starts working.
518,400 seconds later.
Okay, my battery arrived in next to no time. My expensive chip, $6.99, actually took quite a while to arrive, but it is what it is. So I am going to cut some thin new nickel strips, put them onto here, weld them in, and I'm going to put the chip in first, so there's no heat on this, and then we'll weld the battery in using a spot welder. So I'm just going to whiz through it now. Hopefully this is the correct chip. I'll zoom in a minute and see. And then we'll see. I mean, I don't know if this is going to fix it or not. Maybe it's designed to get hot. I'm hoping the next one's not going to get hot. I think what's happening is it's charging a battery, then this starts to overheat, and it sort of cuts itself out and stops charging the battery. And then you have to unplug it, plug it in again, and then this starts charging the battery again, and then it gets too hot and cuts itself out. That's what I'm thinking, but I could be completely wrong. So relax, listen to a bit of music, and let's get these in. Right, it is the correct chip. Look what I found here, which I don't understand what it's doing, because I can't see anything on the black plastic here that it will correspond to. But what is this thing here? It's like a little round stone-like thing. Yeah? It's not metal. It feels more like, I don't know, graphite or something. Why would you have that? What's that for? There's no switch or anything. There's nothing underneath here, you know, to recognise anything. So I don't know what that is for. Odd. It's clearly there for a reason, but what that reason is, I don't know. Right, now, I'm wondering how to take this one out. I think I am going to just use hot air. That tab there might melt a little bit, but I'll keep the heat in this way because I can't see anything else that's going to get damaged. So I'm going to take it off, and then I'm going to put the new chip on. I've got my temperature 450 degrees Celsius and airflow 150 out of a possible 200. Just before we play the music, let me give a shout out to the My Mate Vince Massive. The Massive members this month are KipDigital.com, Kip Hakes and Max Rokotansky, Chris Seal, Felipe at MrKeeves.com, DJ VG, Pigsy, Anthony Dean, Bazza2, Russ Melanson, Gaspar Heller, Rickard Bergland, Soul Reaver 555, Shamsa Al Sawadi, Stuart Park and Stephen from the Broken Past over on YouTube. So massive thanks to each and every one of you. Here goes. Right, so there we have it. Nice and nice. Nice and nice. Right, let's see if it turns on. Don't do this to me.
Ha ha.
What? Unless the battery is flat. What was it? 3.8 volts? Maybe, yeah, maybe that's flat. Would have thought it would have given some bit of life. I think it's going to be a failure video. I don't think I'm going to be able to work out what it is. Right, well, I'm not going to do any more because well, actually, no, I might. Let's charge it up. Let's put it back together and charge it up because it's easy to take apart again. I'm just worried because that's the same symptoms as before. Mind you, we want to see if it's getting warm, don't we, when we're charging it. So, yeah, I'm going to have to charge it now. I want to see if that's getting red hot again. Because if it is, then it suggests that there's another problem. Or at least it means I can keep the old chip. Because it might not be faulty. Well, let's plug it in and see what it's doing. Right, let's see if it's growing at a good amount, because this thing's supposed to charge in 1 hour. See if it stops. I know I'm going to be here a while. Right, so it's charging very good at the moment. Very good. Well, this is promising. Right, let's get the FLIR cam out. No, let me wait here for a bit. If it gets to 4.1, I'll get the FLIR cam out. I think it does something where if you charge it for 5 minutes, it's enough for 1 shave. So maybe it does the initial charging very, very quickly and then drops off after that. Ah, this is very promising. I'll just fast forward through. It wasn't like this before, was it? Now if I get the FLIR cam on and that chip's ice cold, then I'll be very happy. Look at that. Come on, a bit more. Come on. Yes! Excellent. Right, FLIR cam time. You ready? Okay, we have 2 points of heat. I think there was only 1 point of heat before. Where's my plastic tool gone? So we have here, which is my chip, and here, which is the inductor, which is probably quite normal. So how warm is it? I don't think I took a temperature before. It's 57 degrees. I'm just going to feel it. Oh no, that's not, no, before the whole thing was getting warm. Yeah, it's warm, well it's 57 degrees, but it's not, I'm sure it was warmer before. And I think it was just a chip, I don't remember the inductor shining up, so I presume it was probably the chip that was taking the brunt off the energy. And then it must have been overheating or something and then just cutting out. I think we fixed it. Oh, and that light's on now. It's weird, to me that sounds weak. Could it be that the motor's worn itself out? Maybe this is not fixable. Maybe there was a problem with the battery, maybe there was a problem with the chip. But maybe it all stems down to the motor causing... If it's not turning freely, maybe it's putting too much strain on other things. Maybe it's wearing the battery out too quick because it's the same as maybe somebody holding onto it tightly. It's just wearing it down. Now, is there any way into this? It's not going to be waterproof anymore, is it, if I take this apart? Also look, it doesn't always want to turn on, so watch this now. It's not turning on, but if I give that a little wiggle, look at that, it's coming up with that light. I think it's a motor problem. It feels stiff again. It's gone stiff again. Yeah, not turned on at all now. It's a motor issue. Now I wonder how you get into it, because this is all sealed here, so it's somehow going in through here, but it's not going to be waterproof. You know, it goes in through, yeah, it goes in through this bead here. Well, the thing is, it's not working as it is, so I'm going to have to get in here. I mean, maybe this would just crush back down into it, but I'm wondering if it's had a little bit of glue on it. It's coming off very easy though. I'm going to put this back in here because we don't need to worry about that. So I suppose the orange light comes on when the motor's too stiff to turn, which is the same as it being a flat battery. Here we go. Here we go. You know what? I don't think that is glued in. Excellent, we are in. So now, is it the motor or is it the gearbox? Interesting. So right now the motor's not happy at all. Right, we need a tiny Torx bit there. That is a Torx 6. Oh, that's how the motor comes out. So can we take out this gear? Yes, we can. So you would be able to buy a replacement motor maybe. Let's see if it's going to work now. No. So it's the motor itself. Right, let's unsolder this motor and see if we can work out what's happening. So I unsolder it, and then I have to undo a few little metal tabs around the back to take the motor apart. And now let's see what it's like on the inside. Stubborn one to get into. Normally motors are really easy. Okay, there we go. Right now, we've got teeth there. Have we not got any? Ah, the teeth burnt away from there. Ah, I think it's actually a mechanical issue. Tell you what, let's. I was going to say let's get the microscope. I don't think we need to. So we have little fingers at the end there. Ah, they're all broken. There you go. They're all broken. Oh no! The motor's gone. This must have had some use. Yeah, look, there you go. And I suppose what didn't help was me spinning. When I was spinning the thing the other way round. I suppose when you're spinning it the other way, it's going to kind of go more here, dragging it round. But look, you can see it's black there where it's been sparking. Yeah, and they're the fingers. I wonder when it was intermittent, had the fingers already gone by then? That's pretty rough there, isn't it? I presume when that's new it's smooth. I don't think there's anything I can do to fix that. What a shame. Right, well, I'll have a quick look online and I'll see if these are available. So this one says Mitsumi and it says M M22E-14, and have a look here on eBay. They've got one here. M22E-14. It's coming from China, but it is only, what's that, £3.60, £3.58. Hallelujah! So we can get the motor, which is fantastic. I actually go with a UK seller because I want it to arrive quickly, but I then also buy 5 of them from AliExpress as well to have as spares for the future. The ones from AliExpress I think were working out as £2 each or something when you bought 5 of them, so not a lot of money at all. Definitely worth having as spares because these are in many different Philips shavers and they're going to be in other products as well. So yeah, I'm editing up this video now and I'm thinking, well, there was a problem with the chip, there was a problem with the battery, but you know what it could be? All that time the motor was connected, so maybe that chip is seeing that there's some weird short on the motor that shouldn't be there, and maybe that's why, maybe it's linked to that motor directly on the output of that chip, and maybe that's why it was misbehaving itself. But saying that, when we changed the chip out, even with the old faulty motor in place, it then started to charge properly. So it really does look like that the replacement battery, not my one, but the replacement battery seems to be misbehaving itself. The chip seems to be giving off excess heat and not charging properly, and clearly the motor is damaged. So maybe the motor was the main fault, and because of the motor shorting, it then put excess strain on the chip and possibly the battery, which would then knock on failures. It's hard to say. Anyway, the replacement motors have arrived. I'm just fitting them in this bit here. The video is already way too long. Apologies again, but I found this one particularly hard and I didn't want to cut out massive bits of the video to make it completely, the story has to be told, and these are all the things that I did. If I suddenly just changed the motor at the end, you'll probably wonder, well, what happened to the battery and why is the chip different? The solder around that, so the story has to be told, and this is the process that I went through. It just doesn't lend itself to a very watchable video because it's incredibly long, but hopefully, it is what it is. Hopefully you'll still find it mildly entertaining. So I'm putting the replacement motor in now. Surely now, after all this time, it will be fixed. New motor, new battery, new chip. Let's cut to when it's back together and let's hear it work. Hopefully it's going to be more powerful now. Sounds pretty good. The dreaded orange light again. Let's give this a full charge up until all the lights go out and let's do our testing from then. Okay, I charged it until the light went off. I don't know how long it took, but when I went back in 15 minutes, the light was off. So it's definitely fully charged. I've had it on for about 5 minutes, and now, when I put it on now, there's no orange light. So I'm going to keep doing this for a while until it wears out. Right, I'm just doing it in 5-minute little stints. So this is on the second 5 minutes now. It's been going for about 8.5 minutes now. There's no light up yet. Obviously it's not under as much strain as if you're actually using it. But still, I think we can say it's fixed. Right, so I've been messing around with it. I charged it fully and then I just kept turning it on and off, and I had it running for about 15 minutes and then it cut out. And it said that the orange light came on here that indicates it needs charging. So I'm just charging up again now. Interestingly, I never knew this, you can actually buy replacement blades for the inside, not even the whole thing. This is really good. I mean, if you look here, Argos, £35. I don't know if they're the ones for here, but you can see they're on their own. So what you do is, I never knew this, there's a little orange guard in here. You just do that counterclockwise a little bit, and then there are all the blades there. Obviously I'm going to be careful, don't want to cut myself. So yeah, you can buy new replacement parts for the inside, so that's really good. They recommend that you change them after 2 years, so depending on how much use this has, maybe they do need changing. And then you can reset it. This lets you know when to change them, and then you can reset it by holding this button down for 7 seconds. So it's all very interesting. That just goes back in there like that. There's a couple of notches. Put this back in. So yeah, I thought you would have had to sharpen them or throw it away. So the very fact that you can do that, lock it into place by going clockwise, the very fact you can do that is really good. Also, it means you can give it a right good clean on the inside there. That's all good. Anyway, in my opinion, it appears to be working. So I think there seems to be a nice amount of power. If I go to do it when it's plugged in, it's telling me to unplug it. And if I do that, there seems to be good power there. And I had roughly 15 minutes runtime out of it, which, I don't know, I'm not sure how long it would take to have a shave, maybe 3 minutes or something. So that's going to be 5 shaves, something like that. So I think it's going to be okay. Whew, well, that was an absolute epic. Apologies. Next video, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, will be a sensible length. It's just that there seems to be so much content in this one. I struggle to edit it down and still make it watchable. So it is as long as it is. Now, apologies, I couldn't show you it working, but understandably, hygiene reasons, the person doesn't want me shaving with it, and I don't want to be shaving with it either. You don't use other people's shavers normally. So I am 100% sure the motor was at fault. We can all see that, but I still believe that that chip was to blame, because when we fitted the new chip, it started to charge properly, even with the faulty motor installed. And beforehand, it would only charge a little bit for a few minutes and then stop charging. The device itself would still show charging, but when you put your leads from your multimeter across the battery terminals, it wasn't actually drawing anything, so it was lying to you. And then you had to unplug it and plug it back in again. So I honestly think the faults in this one 100% was the motor. I'm nearly certain the chip was faulty, even though I've kept the other one just in case. And I think that replacement battery, when I got it, not the one I put in, I think that was misbehaving itself as well. And I think that's why I found this one so long and troublesome, is because normally on an item you have one faulty item, but I'm wondering if the original fault was the motor, and because of its shorting, maybe then that puts strain on the chip. I really don't know. Bottom line is, it's working now. So even though I couldn't show you it working, you can hear the difference between what it was like at the beginning when you had to kickstart it and what it's like at the end. So it's now been returned to its original owner. And what have I learned is, don't always assume it's the battery. Looking back now, to me, it's obvious it was the motor at fault, but I was sure at the beginning it was the battery. So even though it took me an eternity to do, it will help me next time I work on a shaver. And if your shaver goes faulty, then you might recognise the symptoms, and then you might go straight for the motor rather than thinking it's the battery that's gone weak. So until the next time, I'd like to thank all of you for watching, and I will see you all very soon. Take care.